You know, Sheila, I got to tell you this. I always get a chuckle out of that ad with you in front of the billboard truck. And you said, I'm here standing outside Alberta's busiest highway, Highway number 2. I think I counted 5 cars going by. I just say that.
Afternoon.
But
It's middle of the afternoon, and that should take us to our next topic, because our infrastructure isn't being overwhelmed by mass migration here quite yet.
Well, you know
we
what?
want to keep it that way.
You know, you cut me off at the pass. This is not to criticize that ad. When I drive back home from Rebel News headquarters and I go over the bridge on the 400 looking at the 401, and there's lineups on the ramps to get onto the 401. I can only dream of a busy highway with 5 cars going by. I might be moving to Alberta. Alberta bound, as the song once went, right, Sheila?
I take flights at strange hours of the day and night whenever I go to Toronto, because it's cheaper, right? We're crowdfunded. We watch every penny like it's our grandma's, because it's frankly sometimes your grandma's. And so I take weird flights in and out of Toronto, and it doesn't matter what unholy hour of the night or early hours of the morning I'm leaving. The 401 is an absolute nightmare. And it is really because your infrastructure can't catch up to Justin Trudeau's mass immigration policies. And finally, Justin Trudeau is being mugged by reality on this issue. But he's like an arsonist showing up with a bucket of water to the fire he started and saying, I'm here, guys, to save the day. We've got to get a handle on this fire. Which now he's saying, you know, we're pausing immigration and for everybody to catch up.
And Sheila, it's also been a political failure, because, folks, you're never going to believe this. Some of the biggest critics of this mass immigration are, drumroll please, newcomers to Canada that got here legally, right? And they see that their idea of capturing a piece of the Canadian dream is becoming a distant dream. And they don't want this either. So the Trudeau Liberals, I am sure, Sheila, thought that this was pandering to the immigrant communities. And instead, they're getting an earful going, no, stop this.
Well, you can tell it by the polling data in Toronto. Like, they're losing ground in a city that is Canada's most diverse, where there's more minorities than white people in Toronto at this point. And they're just saying, this is crazy. And especially immigrants who came here the right way. It costs a lot of money to become a legal immigrant to Canada. And they came here. They were sold something else. They chose our country thinking that they were getting one thing, and they're getting something completely different. They're getting Trudeau's version, his post-national version of Canada, instead of the Canada of wide open spaces and affordable housing and clean cities and safe cities they thought they were getting. We've got a video of Trudeau saying that he's going to give all levels of government time to catch up to be able to accommodate more people in the future. So he's not setting aside this idea that perhaps we shouldn't fill up Canada full of people for some strange reason. He's just saying, look, we got to catch up, and then we'll do it all over again. We'll do 10 more years of unfettered migration. Let's watch this.
Canadians are justifiably proud of our immigration system. It has made our economy the envy of the world. It's how we've built strong, diverse communities. It's how we've demonstrated that differences can and must be a source of strength, not a source of weakness for communities and society. Immigration is vital to our future. And as a federal government, we have to make sure that that pride, that faith in immigration is not undermined. Now, it is time to make the adjustments to stabilize the immigration system that we need and get it working right for Canadians for right now. Today, we're announcing that we will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years. This builds on our previously announced measures to cap international student permits and reform the temporary foreign worker program. all of which we are implementing with a single aim: stabilize our population growth to give all levels of government time to catch up, time to make the necessary investments in healthcare, in housing, in social services to accommodate more people in the future.
Okay, that's enough.
Our immigration system.
That's enough. I'm old enough to remember 20 seconds ago where if you said, we can't keep up to this, you were a complete and total racist.
Oh, yeah. You know, and what did he just say there exactly when you analyze it, Sheila? Mass immigration works until it doesn't work. Yeah. And it probably wasn't working from day one, going back years when those numbers were grossly inflated. And he's talking about a future healthcare that can accommodate Canadian. As I mentioned, Sheila, I buggered up my knee back in the spring. My MRI is scheduled for Valentine's Day next year. So I've gone 3 seasons, almost an entire year, to get a bloody MRI. And yet, I only bring this up because now you're going to bring it into our country additional strains on healthcare, on housing, on the infrastructure. This was never thought out. This was political pandering from day one. It's bit him in the butt, and now he is retreating because, well, there'll be an election next year. Unbelievable.
Right. I've got one more video from Trudeau on this exact same topic, because it's not just immigration, it's the other strain of immigration that Trudeau wants to keep separate, but they all cause the same issue. And that's temporary foreign workers in Canada, because you bring in temporary foreign workers, they still need somewhere to live. They still have to use our healthcare system. And also, look at this. We're going to have fewer temporary foreign workers in Canada. We're bringing stricter rules for companies to prove why they can't hire Canadian workers first. Again, if you said this 20 seconds ago, you were a racist.
Yep.
But Justin Trudeau says it because he's plummeting the polls and he's reacting to Canadians' sentiments on this issue. And then all of a sudden it's not racist.
You know, Sheila, maybe with your approval, we need to go out to Queen Street and Highway 410 in Brampton. That's the site of the temporary foreign workers and international students having a camp out. By the way, those tents haven't come down. Their bank accounts haven't been frozen. But they believe that, and it's on their own signs, no one is illegal on stolen land. You know, that Canada is full of racists and haters. You know, golly, Sheila, why would you want to come live here if that's the
also,
case?
If I'm a colonizer, so are you. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? But also get out.
Yeah.
But also get out. If this is stolen land, go somewhere that isn't stolen. I'll help you pack. Get out.
100%.
But I wonder if someone could ask them, why don't you think Canadians can do these jobs?
Yeah.
What is it about Canadians you don't feel can do these jobs?
Well, I can't remember the rate, but it was ominous this summer, the youth unemployment, Sheila, for jobs that were typically places you would go for a summer job, a convenience store, a food service outlet, right? There was, what was it, 24%?
It's the numbers are statistically the same. The amount of foreign workers, temporary foreign workers versus youth unemployment, the numbers are the same. Yeah. Which is to say, if you just said, okay, no more temporary foreign workers doing jobs that Canadians can do, it would fix the youth unemployment problem.
There you go.
Yes. Why are we having adults from the third world imported into Canada to do jobs that are normally held by 15 and 16-year-old Canadians?
Well, according to my sources in the Indian community, Sheila, the idea of having lawyers and doctors and engineers moving from India to Canada, those days are gone. They don't consider Canada a good place to emigrate to. No. And it's all, I guess, part and parcel of a bigger picture. And of course, our relations with India have never been lower than they've been with Justin Trudeau. So we're not getting the cream of the crop from India.
No, we're not. And export farmers, take note.
Yeah.
Take note that our relationship with India is at its worst point, I think, in recent history, thanks to Justin Trudeau. Let's go to Mark Miller, not understanding the problem whatsoever, and he's the immigration minister. Mark Miller, who, as I said previously, reminds me of a vampire's familiar. Strong Renfield vibes coming from him.
Strong what vibes, Sheila?
Renfield. Renfield. Dracula's familiar. Anyway, he says that Sweden and Germany are warnings of what happens when the consensus around mass immigration erodes.
What?
Because the problem is that people have a problem with the consensus and not the effects of mass migration. Thanks, Mark. Anyway, let's watch.
Jeez.
See, vampire's familiar.
You see what happens when that consensus erodes. Countries that we have perhaps looked up to in the past. My family is part Swedish, and you see what's happening there. You see what's happening, for example, in Germany. And I think that is something, it's a lesson for us. And you see what's happening to the south of us. And that's a lesson for us to learn. And we have to constantly fight for it. My biggest reproach with chambers of commerce and with groups that have benefited very much from immigration, when I meet with them, they're all telling me, including provinces, that they want more control over immigration, is that you have to stop fighting for it, because we've all gotten lazy about the value of immigration to Canada. And I think it's something that we need to realize, let it absorb, and continue to fight for it.
Okay, first of all, to call his boss, because his boss just said something completely different.
100%. But first of all, I just want to tackle one of the first things he said, Sheila, that we've traditionally looked up to Sweden. Like when? Who? I mean, okay, when it was a Swedish company, Volvo made some nice cars.
During COVID. I was like, yeah, let's do what they're doing during COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. I like ABBA. Matt Sundin was a great Leafs captain. After that, I got nothing. What am I looking up to Sweden for?
After that, like after they're like, we're not locking down during COVID, I'm like, okay, I remember Sweden exists. Good. But after that, I don't look up to them. I don't look at them with admiration about what they're doing there. I mostly forget they exist until they have some sort of mass immigration crime happening there.
Yep.
And it's not the problem with people re-examining the consensus. It's the problem that's causing people to re-examine the so-called consensus. When they look around and it's like, we're hardly Swedish anymore.
That's right.
We're losing our cultural identity.
Yep.
Crime is spiraling out of control. Housing is really expensive and taxes are going up. And then you think about supply, the laws of supply and demand, and even Scandinavian countries are subject to those. That's when people have changing opinions and reevaluate the line they've been sold by their government. It's got nothing to do with people all of a sudden becoming racist, which is, I think, the underlying theme that Mark Miller was trying to suggest there.
No, that's a great point, Sheila. I mean, Sweden, I think the Sweden that people have in their minds, the way people romanticize Sweden, that Sweden's not Sweden in that regard anymore. And part of the problem, I'm sorry to say, we got to call out the elephant in the room, is mass migration and certain immigrants not blending in, not assimilating. And that has been problematic for Sweden. As you mentioned, the gangs. Who are these gangs? Where do they come from? Look into that. So, for Mark Miller to bring up Sweden, like he's making the argument against any immigration almost.
Yeah. We've got one more. Poilievre, and again, I want to reiterate, I'm not against immigration. I'm against unfettered migration. I think the idea of skilled immigration is wonderful. You're setting immigrants up for success. And there is something to be said for the fact that Canadians have a plummeting birth rate.
Correct.
But maybe we could incentivize people to have more children instead of making it too expensive to expand your own family. Perhaps we could look at the tax rate. Perhaps we could look at income sharing so that more mothers can stay home and raise their kids instead of farming that out to daycares and unskilled temporary foreign workers who work in our daycares. I feel like mothers could do that job if we made it more affordable through taxation for mothers to stay home. And so Pierre Poilievre, he is going to consider a mathematical formula that addresses the things that I just said.
Look at what was done in the 150 years before Justin Trudeau. We had the best immigration system in the world. Just 9 years ago, we had a housing surplus. We built more houses in 2015 than were necessary to house the new people coming to the country. It's hard to believe. We had one home for every 1.5 new people. And that was a housing surplus. I was housing minister. Why? Because we had a controlled, common sense immigration system that had worked for a century and a half, and Justin Trudeau came along and with reckless abandon, totally demolished it. We will reverse the reckless, uncontrolled approach that he has brought and bring home the common sense system that worked for a century and a half. We're going to link the number of, we're going to link population growth to the number of houses, the amount of health care and jobs that are available. So we will have a mathematical formula that ensures that we never grow our population at a faster rate than we grow the availability of jobs, homes, and healthcare.
Oh, and Sheila, just a very quick clarification. When Mr. Poilievre is speaking of 2015, he is, of course, speaking about pre-October 2015.
Right. The first 9 months of the year. All right. Olivia suggests to me that we read a message from our friends at Rumble. Okay. And then get into chats and then wrap up the show. However, we did get to everything that was on the headline. So that makes me happy and alleviates the pain in my email inbox. And maybe I'll finish getting ready for work.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. Members get instant access to all of our shows, invitations to exclusive events, and access to our premium content like live event footage and documentaries you won't see anywhere else. Only Rebel News Plus members can join the conversation by participating in the comments section of our new website. That way you can have your say too. More than anything though, you'll be able to take pride in supporting real, honest journalism, and you'll help our talented team continue to do the work to push back on the establishment. We really can use your help. We need it, in fact. So thank you, and enjoy Rebel News Plus.